Hi there everyone and welcome to the latest video. It's Ollie from FUME Gaming here, and I thought I'd give you a quick run by of the Retribution Paladin level 100 talents that we'll be receiving in the Warlords of Dreanor expansion pack for World of Warcraft. I'm quite excited about this expansion pack. It's going to be giving us obviously one thing that I'm excited about obviously is the fact that the level cap's going to be increased to 100, but the second thing I'm really looking forward to is getting a free level 90 character. So obviously with that in mind, let's skip over straight into the level 100 talents that Paladins will be getting. Obviously none of this is set in stone, but it's what was released during BlizzCon, and I just wanted to have a quick look at those talents and give you my initial thoughts on them. In the background of this video of me speaking, I thought I would pop a quick Warsong Gulch battleground where I do okay, bit of damage, and I think I do some big numbers on some people. So just some stuff to watch in the background. You should see some screen overlays of the talents that we're discussing and talking about. Okay, so obviously level 100 talents are threefold. We have a Light Within, Seal of Faith, and Divine Conviction. Now they're obviously for Paladins on the whole, so each of those abilities have an element of them that is specific to Retribution Paladins. So looking at the Light Within. So the Light Within is going to be a Retribution specific ability called Empowered Seals. It basically employs a passive on you. Your seals now called your Judgment to empower you with an additional beneficial effect. So basically every time we judge based on the seal that we're running, we're going to get another buff. Okay, we can see here that when we're running the Judgment, the Seal of Justice, should I say, we're going to get a increase in our movement speed of 10% for 20 seconds. That's quite a nice little buff to receive there, especially if you think that that will complement our Long Arm of the Law, which gives us a 45 speed percent increase on Judgment for 3 seconds. So I'm not sure whether they'll stack or not. So for 3 seconds of my 20-second buff from the Light Within, I could be running at 55% speed for 3 seconds, and then the remaining 17 back to 10%. I'm choosing Long Arm of the Law because, you know, as a PvPer, that is kind of the standard ability I'd be taking from the level 15 of talent. But obviously, you know, we could be looking at the other ones. Judgment, yeah, it's not a bad ability, quite like that. Nice gap closer, especially with the glyph of Burden of Guilt. You know, that's a nice gap closer. But let's move on to the other ones. So Judgment of Insight, so when we're running with Seal of Insight, this one is going to heal you for 3% of your maximum health every 2 seconds for 20 seconds. That for me is a really strong ability. You know, so on Judgment, every 6 seconds, so our Judgment cooldown is 6 seconds, so every 6 seconds I'm going to be able to judge and give myself a buff that will heal me for 30% of my health over 20 seconds. So basically you get 3% of your maximum health every 2 seconds for 20 seconds. So, you know, 20 divided by 2 is 10. So multiply 3% by 10% gives us 30% of our maximum health. It's a huge heal. You know, a really huge hot, in fact. So, you know, increases the survivability of a Ret Paladin there significantly. In fact, that sounds really strong to me. Okay, moving on. Judgment of Righteousness. Okay, so our Seal of Righteousness is that AoE that not many people really use in PvP scenarios. It increases the attack speed by 10% for 20 seconds. Now, again, quite a nice buff to have. Is that useful for PvP, or is it more useful for PvE? I think it's probably more of a PvE talent in my opinion, but that said, you know, more attack speed means more mastery procs, because in PvP scenarios mastery is not really considered for a Ret Paladin paramount. We're looking probably that as more of a PvE ability, but that said, let's move on. And finally, our final seal being the Seal of Truth, that increases our attack power by 10% for 20 seconds. I mean, that's huge as well. It's a really, really big buff. A 10% attack power increase, you know, is going to be a significant damage boost. So looking at the Light Within, I can, you know, really see some positive items there in what we're seeing. Now, I had a thought process around this. And obviously I'm not 100% sure on the mechanics, but with it being a 20-second buff, that you get from Judgment. That would suggest to me that we're looking at seal dancing, like stance dancing, I guess is the actual phrase, but for a paladin it'll be seal dancing, because if our Judgment is on a 6-second cooldown, we're looking basically at being able to judge 3 times before our first buff drops off. So I'm interested by this, because let's say for argument's sake we open up our on a target with our Judgment of Truth, so we judge with Judgment of Truth. That's going to give me an attack power buff of 10% for 20 seconds. So as soon as I judge, I switch my seal then to my Judgment of Justice, or more to the point, sorry, I leave my Judgment of Truth on, until I get my 5 stacks of my Sensor Dot, and then I switch to Judgment of Justice. I then 6 seconds later, obviously after my Judgment of Truth, I judge my Justice. That gives me a 10% movement speed increase, but I've still got my original buff of my attack power increase, which would give me 2 buffs. And obviously 6 seconds on from that is only 12 seconds from when I started this, so I've still got 8 seconds left on my next Judgment of a 3rd buff. So let's say for argument's sake I swap to Insight, get my Judgment from that, and that gives me a big hot on myself as well. So I'm not 100% sure if everyone's following what I'm saying there, but it looks to me like this is going to be telling us you need to start swapping seals on Judgment to get all of the buffs available to you. So it's very interesting that we're seeing that kind of dynamic element of play potentially from this ability. Okay, moving on. Now, Seal of Faith is the next one, and this is probably, on the surface, my most inspiring of all 3 abilities. Fills you with Holy Light, causing you to gain faith equal to all damage dealt, which that's okay. And faith acts as spell power towards your next healing spell, so straight away we're saying, okay, I'm going to pop this, do damage, and it gives me a heal at the end. So it's going to make me more survivable, or it's going to give me the opportunity to save people's lives, to be offer more utility to a team again, which I'm all for. I like playing a Ret Paladin because we offer utility. However, the bit that I get a bit frustrated with here is that while Seal of Faith is active, all damage dealt is reduced by 30%, which is for a Retribution Paladin. Now, I don't know about everyone else, but 30% damage reduction for Rets is just not needed. At the moment we really don't pump out as much damage, in my opinion, in terms of sustain that we would want. And obviously you're not going to pop this when you're bursting, because it's a 30% damage reduction you'll burst, so you're going to be doing it when you're not bursting. It just seems a very, very strange ability for PvP at any rate. So at any rate, yeah, looking at that, obviously I'm assuming it's going to be a big defensive cooldown, or a big survivability increase, that we're going to be able to pump out a big heal using this ability. But I just don't know whether that mechanic will work in PvP with battle fatigue, with reduced healing done by hybrids, and all of the other things that really we can't tell until we actually get into a test realm with these abilities. So at the moment, not very inspired by Seal of Faith, but let's move on to Divine Conviction. Okay, so Divine Conviction for a Retribution Paladin is like a replacement ability, exactly the same as Eternal Flame when we're replacing our Word of Glory. However, this time we're replacing our Templar's Verdict, which is our 3-point finishing move. So one of our biggest damaging abilities, and also are very high on our priority list due to probably most Ret Paladins in PvP taking the glyph of Templar's Verdict to give us that 10% damage reduction. So what this does is it replaces our ability. The new ability empowers your weapon with holy energy and performs a devastating strike, dealing 250% holy damage, weapon damage as holy, should I say, and it replaces Templar's Verdict. Now, looking at this, I can see why it's going to obviously hit a lot harder. Templar's Verdict straight away will benefit, the new ability. So you can see that Final Verdict will benefit better from Inquisition. It'll have 30% increased damage done by Final Verdict rather than Templar's Verdict straight away, and then obviously it will still benefit from Sword of Light and Hand of Light. So it's certainly going to hit a lot harder than Templar's Verdict, at a minimum 30% more. What I think we'd need to work out whether or not this is like a default talent that we're going to be taking as Rets, is whether or not the seal dancing, or my assumption of the seal dancing from the Light Within, is going to be more viable. Maybe people who want an easier life will be going Final Verdict, because it just gives you more damage from one of your abilities and you don't have to worry about seal dancing as much. Ultimately, I think there are two options: Divine Conviction and the Light Within. So I hope you've all enjoyed this little rundown of the level 100 talents in the Warlords of Dreanor patch. So far, what I'm seeing, I'm liking. I'm hoping that we're going to be balanced in the Warlords of Dreanor, and I'm hoping to see some more information coming out about the expansion and these talents for Ret Paladins pretty soon. So stay tuned to this channel for any information that I find out, and obviously arena clips and BG footage. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you click the like, favourite and subscribe buttons if you can, and I will see you all in the next video. Cheers guys.